that will be provided will help you understand what you're doing, how you're doing, and it is all based on pure proven science. So there's no bullshit in this. It's all coming from research papers. This is not coming from YouTube videos and the like, which you can prove anything you want from based on whatever video you want to see. Now, the body and the mind are two completely different things. The body is doing its own thing. It is a very intelligent, very evolved item, which is only trying to do one thing, which is to survive. And for us to be able to understand how it functions is the only way we can trick it to doing things that we want it to do, because otherwise it will go and do its own thing. And if you look at the signaling systems within the body, they are all based on chemical and some other transmissions which are not entirely understandable or even explainable. For example, if you want to, so something called nitric oxide, which improves the endothelial layer of the blood vessels. If you do Brahmari, the nitric oxide is released across the entire body. Nobody knows why, nobody understands how, but the fact is it does. The body is also an amazing organic chemist. So basically, it takes hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon, and is able to break it down, reconstitute it, convert it, do all kinds of magic with it. All processes relating to these four elements are actually reversible and they can go back and forth. So you can convert protein into...
You're really bloody hungry?
I want to finish.
You can convert... Naga?
Go ahead.
You can convert protein into glucose. You can convert glucose into fat. You can convert fat into glucose. You can convert anything into anything. So the body is able to do all kinds of wonderful things. It is also an extremely efficient thing. It will not throw away anything that it can potentially use because its only objective is survival. It doesn't know when the next meal is coming, where it is coming, and if it is coming. So it is only going to learn and keep a store of everything. Every single particle of protein that it breaks down, and it breaks down about 250 grams of protein a day. People talk about consuming 50 grams, 80 grams, etc. That is nothing. The fact is the body is breaking down 250 grams of protein every day, is reusing all of that protein. The only protein that you lose in your body is what you lose in your hair and your nails. Other than that, you should not be losing any protein. Maximum amount of protein that you pee out of your body is probably 150 to 250 milligrams. So not even 1 gram of protein gets lost unintentionally. There's a lot of debate about whether humans were meant to be vegan, whether we are supposed to eat vegetables, blah, 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 blah. The science is that the stomach, which is where our acid is, has a pH, actually it is closer to 1. I've written 2 because it's a safer number to work with. At that level, a dog has a pH of 2, we have a pH of 1, which means we are able to digest things that even a dog can't digest, or we are able to digest stuff that even a dog can't digest. Because what is the reason for this high level of, or this extremely acidic nature of the stomach acids? It is to be able to eat completely rotten food. Because the human being was not the best hunter in the world. We were not able to run behind a gazelle, catch it and kill it. We don't have the teeth, we don't have the jaws, we don't have the speed, we don't have the agility, we have nothing. So the only way we could eat it is, if a lion killed something, they left it, the hyenas ate something, what was left, we ate what was left after that. So by then there were lots of bacteria, etc. in that, and therefore our stomach had to have the acids to be able to kill that bacteria. A cow, for example, has a pH of 5 or 6 or 7. In fact, if it's below 5.5, the cow is considered to be unwell. The body has limited receptors for everything, which means, for example, if you drink orange juice and somebody tells you you're drinking it and you're going to get vitamin C, you're not going to get vitamin C, and I'll explain why. The receptor for vitamin C and the receptor for carbohydrate in the digestive system are the same. It's called GLUT1. Now, GLUT1 has an affinity for what? if you had to choose between glucose and vitamin C, what do you think the body is going to intelligently pick first? It will first take glucose because it has a desire to be able to live. That is the energy source. Vitamin C is okay, good to have, nice to have, etc., etc. So if you drink orange juice, that's all you get. You know, people try and take B12 supplement. If you take 10 micrograms of B12, how much goes into the body? 10 micrograms. If you take 1000 micrograms of B12, guess how much goes into the body? 20 micrograms. Because at 10 micrograms, you kind of max out the receptors. So there is a lot of science behind what you can eat, when you can eat, and with what you can eat. There's no sense in popping an omega-3 tablet just after eating lunch. Zero is going to get absorbed because the receptors for omega-3 and omega-6 are the same, and the omega-6 will overwhelm the omega-3, so no omega-3 will go in. So there is a whole lot of science behind how, what to eat, when to eat, etc. Okay, let's talk about blood glucose. So I'm going to throw a lot of data, but I think the whole picture will emerge very clearly at the end of the whole thing. Let's talk about blood glucose. Normal blood glucose levels are what? 100 milligrams per deciliter, which is 10 ml. 5 liters of blood, that means there's 5 grams of sugar in the entire body. 5 grams of sugar is 1 teaspoon. That's 20 calories. If you eat a gulab jamun, your sugar does not go to 1000. Why? Because there is a huge mechanism in the body which is controlling your blood sugar level. It might go to 200, but that mechanism kicks in even before you put the food in your mouth. You smell food and insulin is released. So insulin comes in when you smell it, when you taste it, when the food hits your salivary glands, when it hits your mouth. By the time it hits your stomach, the insulin is in full blast and ready to handle or tackle that sugar or the glucose. So a 5-minute walk will take out those 5 grams of sugar, of glucose. Glucose is in every single cell of the body, and every cell is ready because you never know when you're going to move your hand, when you're going to stand up and start walking. So every cell needs to be able to convert glucose into energy at a moment's notice. In addition to that 5 grams which is in the bloodstream, there's another 100 grams, max 100 grams. Assuming a big person with a 1.5 kilogram liver with 65 grams per kg of storage capacity, about 100 grams can be stored in the liver. But that's also just 400 calories. That's a 30-minute run. You can wipe it out. So in 30 to 40 minutes, so if you take a walk after you eat your lunch or after you eat your meal, you can pretty much clean out and reduce the amount of work that the insulin needs to do. There is a very, very complicated process, very elaborate process of keeping blood glucose levels in a very narrow range. Now let's understand, what does the pancreas do? The pancreas was never designed to reduce blood sugar. It was designed to increase blood sugar. Okay, in anything, if somebody tells you this is the alpha and this is the beta, the alpha was the more important. The pancreas has 2 types of cells. It has alpha cells and beta cells. Alpha cells produce glucagon, which is triggered by low glucose. The objective of glucagon was to signal to the liver to convert glycerol into glucose, to convert amino acids. Amino acids are protein sources into glucose, and to convert the stored glycogen into glucose. The glucagon has no impact on muscle. It does not talk to the muscle, but it does talk to all the fat cells. And it tells the fat cells to break down triglycerides so that it can release glycerol and fatty acids, which are both energy sources. On the other hand, you've got beta cells, which is what everybody talks about because we've created a situation where all of us are permanently fed. Beta cells release insulin triggered by high glucose levels. High meaning the moment it starts to creep up, it goes bang. What is it telling you? It's telling you to convert glucose into glycogen. It is telling you to increase the uptake of amino acids and convert it into protein. This is what is happening at the liver. At the muscle cells, it is telling you to open the door and take glucose in, take amino acids in, and to create more protein. Because its objective at this point is to take stuff in and store and put it away. What is it telling the fat cells? It is telling it to create fat. Now, please understand, alpha cells and beta cells are it's a toggle switch. It can be on one side or the other side. It cannot be on both places at the same time. The body cannot be producing glucagon and insulin. This is a really, really important thing to note. If your body is producing insulin, you cannot burn fat. I will say that again. If you're in a high insulin state, you cannot burn fat. It is very important to go into low insulin state to be able to burn fat. When do people get diabetes? What is exactly happening? You eat 100 grams of sugar or 100 grams of glucose. I'm being very careful about glucose versus sugar because there's fructose involved. That's a whole different conversation. You eat 100 grams of glucose, the body releases 100 units of insulin. These are two numbers just for argument's sake. And the insulin brings the number under control. While the blood sugar has come down or blood glucose has come down, the insulin has not gone away from your system. It might take 2 hours for the blood glucose to be corrected, but it might take 4 hours for the insulin to come back to normal. That means for the next 2 hours, you still cannot burn fat. Now, in that 4-hour window, you decide now it's time to have a snack. And I have a snack. Again, my insulin kicks up. And again, I have another 4-hour window when my insulin remains high. And again, I have another snack 4 hours later. So the first time when I started this nonsense, I needed 100 units of insulin to fix my sugar intake. As I got more resistant, insulin resistance kicks in, I need 150 grams, 150 units, then I need 200 units, then I need 300 units, then I need 500 units, and then I need 1,000 units. That 1,000 units doesn't get cleared out for 12 hours. And in the meanwhile, I keep eating again and again, and I keep pushing that number in. I can never burn fat in that situation because my insulin levels are increased. What will my HbA1c show? It will show me a normal HbA1c. Why? Because my blood sugar is okay. Blood sugar is okay. Insulin is out of control. You cannot lose any fat. Clear?
Yeah,
This plays into weight loss and why you cannot lose weight, or why it is difficult to lose weight.
Anil, just a
I
minute.
think-
Whosoever
Yeah.
is on iPad, can you please mute yourself?
Jayant, you are an admin, you can mute iPad.
iPad, please mute yourself. Sundar, please do it otherwise. Carry on, Anil.
Okay. Now let's talk about the weight loss situation. 2,000 calories a day, 60,000 calories a month. Let's try and lose 1 kilo in a month, which is a sensible amount of weight loss. Anything more than that, you're going to do yo-yoing and you'll have a problem because you won't be happy. That 2,000 calories is made up of 1,400 basal metabolic rate, 300 non-exercise activity, and 300 which is active exercise. You say, fine, I'm going to drop 300 calories a day so that I can reduce 9,000 calories in the month, lose a kilo, and you become 1,700 calories. Remember, the body has a brain the size of an ant's brain. It is just purely learning from very, very simple information. That simple information is there is shortage of food. Very little food is coming in. There's a small gap. There's a 300 calorie deficit. Okay. I can't do anything about the 300 active exercise. I can't do anything about the 300 NEAT. Let me drop basal metabolic rate from 1,400 to 1,100. When you go back to eating 2,000 calories, you're completely fucked. Why? Because now you're going to start putting on 300 calories because the basal metabolic rate is not going to go up. The body is going to say, wonderful, little extra fat, the food is coming in, let me store it and make it fat. Body response number 2 is I have a 300 calorie deficit. I'm going to burn 300 calories of fat. How do we get to this point? That is the really important thing. Why do we tell the body not to go to response 1, but to go to response 2? Okay, this falls into metabolic flexibility. Actually, I have something in the annexures. I'm going to just go through this very, very quickly. There are 3 types of food that we eat: carbohydrate, protein, and fat. And these slides are there, so I don't want to spend too much time. I'll just share these slides later. Carbohydrates and protein go through the portal vein to the liver. In the liver, it becomes glucose and amino acids. Glucose stored as glycogen, 5 grams in the blood, 100 grams stored in the liver, total 400 calories available. Amino acids are stored as proteins. Amino acids are 20 amino acids. You can break them up and you can put them back in whichever form you want. It's a very, very simple process. mRNA and all follow the same process. They go through the lymph and the blood system. They go to every cell in the body. But there is minimal excess. Remember, your body cannot store protein. So please do not eat 200 grams of protein. The body just has to pee it out and deal with the nitrogen that has to be taken away. There is no value for excess protein. If you're not exercising, you're not breaking down muscle, you're not trying to build muscle, you're not trying to increase muscle mass, you have no need for incremental protein. Okay? Fat is a different ballgame. When fat comes into the digestive system, it goes through the lymphatic system. It does not go through the vein, it does not go to the liver, it goes to the entire body. Fat is actually 2 parts. There's a glycerol and 3 little strings called fatty acids. That's why it's called a triglyceride. And this is the normal form in which it floats around. It floats around in the blood and it sits in the adipose tissue, and it is unlimited amount of fat can be stored by the body. Carbohydrates stored as glycogen. Excess becomes fat, yes. Protein excess becomes fat, yes. Triglycerides excess, obviously it is fat already. Okay. Active form: glucose, amino acids, glycerol, and fatty acids. So anytime the message is given by the body that I want to break down triglycerides, it becomes glycerol and fatty acids. Interchangeable. These 3 are interchangeable. I can use glucose to make amino acids. I can use amino acids to make glucose. I can use glucose to make glycerol. I can go all over the map. Okay, there is an intermediate layer called pyruvate, which is what all 3 of these become. This can burn and generate energy without oxygen. So when you get lactic acid, that's when your pyruvate is burning. You're burning pyruvate for energy, you're creating lactic acid. That's when you start getting those pains and aches and all that. Once it becomes acetyl CoA, this is when it needs oxygen. And once this goes here, it becomes an irreversible process. Now it needs oxygen to burn. Primary fuel here is hydrogen. Primary fuel from fatty acid is ketone. Remember, when fat breaks up into glycerol and fatty acid, this comes through the pyruvate chain. Fatty acid gives you the ketones. So you have to generate these ketones to be burning fat. This will not happen if there is a lot of this floating around, because this is a preferred source of energy. The most important organ in the body is the brain. The body will protect the brain at all costs. The brain loves glucose. The brain lives on glucose. The brain cannot function without glucose. So even if you're on full-blown ketosis, the brain is still being supplied with glucose, and that glucose comes from breaking down fat, converting glycerol, converting to pyruvate, acetyl-CoA, and you get the glucose chain going to the brain. Okay, let's go back here. Sorry, there's too much information being thrown at you, but I hope some of it makes sense. We went through this, right? We can control our blood we were measuring fasting blood glucose to tell diabetes. That is a load of bullshit, which we now know, because if I don't eat for 12 hours before this thing, my fasting blood glucose is good. HbA1c still can be good if my insulin levels are high. Now, if you measure your fasting insulin, you'll get another data point. And if you measure your average insulin, you'll get a final data point. Now, if you're fasting glucose, which is why I sent that HOMA-IR test a couple of weeks ago. If you're using too much insulin to keep your blood sugar under control, you may not understand that you're actually a full-blown diabetic, but you are. Okay? If you're a full-blown diabetic, you cannot burn fat. Remember, the body has got the brain of an ant, and it is only learning exactly by experience. It has no thinking process. Okay? So mix it up. Sometimes you exercise, sometimes you don't exercise. Sometimes you eat food, sometimes you eat good food, sometimes you eat bad food, sometimes you drink daru, sometimes you eat chole bhature. Everything is fine. If the body can figure out what you do, it will respond. If the body cannot figure out what you do, it cannot respond. Okay? Create a calorie deficit and try and increase your muscle mass, because that will also include your basal metabolic rate. Basal metabolic rate is only impacted by muscle mass, nothing else. Fat hanging around in your body does not use and does not burn any calories. You need to create an insulin deficit or a glucagon-rich environment. If this is not there, weight loss is not possible. Wiping out glycogen stores is a piece of cake. 500 calories you burn, you wipe them out. After that, you're in full non-glycogen available situation. Okay? But when you're burning fat, be very careful. Do not burn fat and do not do aggressive exercise when you're burning fat, because that fat burning, remember the fatty acid chain which is on the right-hand side, that burns slowly. When you want to exercise furiously, you need carbohydrates, you need glucose. So when you're burning fat, please go for a walk. Because if you try and go for a sprint, guess what the body will do? It will burn protein. It will take amino acids, convert to glucose, convert to pyruvate and burn them. Because you have asked for the energy, it will give you the energy. Okay? Don't break up your monthly calorie distribution into 1700 calories per day multiplied by 30. The body will definitely read that as a sign of food deficit and will go into starvation and will go cut your metabolic rate. Give it 8 days in a month of 2400 calories. It will think there's a party going on. Because the brain doesn't, there is no brain. It is basically saying, khana nahi aaya, suddenly itna khana aa gaya, okay, fine, I don't need to cut metabolic rate. Then a few more days of less, then you say, itna khana aata hai, yahan pe to every alternate day, every third day, you get a bloody picnic. Yahan to 2400 calories aa jate hain. What do? I need to start store. So you understand, confuse the damn body. And this is 1 meal, this is 2 meals, this is 3 meals. This is a 800 calorie day, this is a 1800 calorie day, this is a 2400 calorie day. Stop snacking. There is no concept of snacking, because if you cannot cut that insulin down to zero, it takes a very small amount of sugar, and sugar is carbohydrate of any form. It takes a very small amount of carbohydrate to push your sugar, to push your blood glucose from 100 to 200, 5 grams. From 200 to 300, another 5 grams. Any average meal you eat 1 santra. That is 12 grams of sugar. Okay? You sit down and eat a mango, let's not even discuss it. If the insulin had not kicked in when you ate a mango, your sugar would be at 1000. Okay? In conclusion, firstly, each person is unique. And I think Sunil is the best person to tell you why each person is unique and how you cannot generalize and take general information and apply it to yourself. I know how my body responds. I've done all kinds of tests and experiments on my own body. I know exactly what happens when I do certain things. I can eat a tub of ice cream, no problem, but I can't eat chapatis and dal and aloo bengan ki sabzi without putting. Eat 1 meal a day, 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day, doesn't matter. Eat your meals in a short window, 1 hour, 2 hours maximum, because then otherwise it will count as 2 meals or 3 meals. And avoid snacking. My recommendation, give up snacking completely. Anybody who's telling you go to snack on this and snack on that, there is no such thing as a non-carbohydrate food. You look at any food, it will have carbohydrates. Even though it doesn't spike your blood sugar because it's coated in fat, doesn't mean that there is no carbohydrate. There's enough carbohydrate to trigger an insulin response. The moment a carbohydrate enters the body, insulin has to come in to take care of that carbohydrate. Insulin is in, glucagon is not there. You're basically not going to burn fat. Exercise as much as possible. Aerobic exercise, resistance. Walking is awesome. Walking is the only exercise that can burn fat without causing discomfort to the body. Fructose. You eat 1 santra, you got 6 grams of fructose. You eat a box of blueberries, you got 5, 6, 8, 10 grams of fructose. There is no scientific reason anywhere in the world which says that your body needs fructose. There is no use for it. There is only one known use for it, which is that it makes your semen better. But I don't think that's really critical use for fructose consumption. Okay. Hydrate. Please drink enough water. 2 liters, 3 liters, 3.5, 4 liters. Don't drown yourself in water, but there is no problem. Where you get the water from doesn't matter. Get it from milk, get it from tea, get it from water. Drink cold water, drink hot water. All that doesn't matter. I mean, I still cannot answer. You're going to drink cold water. It's going to hit that stomach. It's going to hit a ton of acid. Does that acid really care whether the water was hot or cold, or whether it was with some additive or not? Sleep is probably the most underrated repair mechanism. In my view, the top 5 supplements we're talking about: omega-3, vitamin D, B12, vitamin C, and vitamin K2. Let me take 1 second on this. Vitamin D is a very dangerous vitamin, by the way. You take vitamin D, you activate calcium. When you activate calcium, where does the calcium go is a very big question. The calcium will normally go to the easiest place where it can go. It is already in your bloodstream. It will go and park in the soft tissue and become calcification. Okay. You want it to go to a certain place, which is to go to your bones. You need vitamin K2 to direct it to the bones. Be very careful about people talking about vitamin K in a broad sense. K1 and K2 are 2 subgroups. K1 actually causes coagulation. So somebody says this thing has vitamin K and you're on a blood thinner, you are creating a problem, because you're on a blood thinner and you're eating something that enhances coagulation. People tell you to eat lots of blueberries. Blueberries have a lot of K1 in it. So just be very careful what you are consuming, because there is a lot of detail and information that goes into this. B12. I see doses floating around 1,000 micrograms of B12. The receptor can only take 10. What's the point of eating 1,000 micrograms of B12? Vitamin C. Having vitamin C along with your meal. Carbohydrates and vitamin C use the same absorption mechanisms. You cannot absorb vitamin C in the presence of carbohydrates. So we have certain things that we need to worry about, but this is the conclusion, and I think I've overshot my time.
Thank you very much, Sunil. I think it was well worth it. Do share your presentation, put it in the group, we'll all benefit. I just want to say that just before this call started, Anil, Sunil, Sundar and I were chatting, and both Anil and Sunil Kanodia were sharing that their body weight today, I'm assuming both of them are 60 plus, their body weight today is actually a bit lesser than it was when they started college, which would have been in 79, 80. Now that's a remarkable feat. So thank you very much for sharing.
I have to say something. I was chatting with Jyoti Jaipuria a couple of days ago, and he sent me a message, and he still calls me Gole, which is what I was called in the dorm.
That's true. I remember when you came into the institute, there were some friends of yours from IITD who still used to call you Golu.
Yeah.
So, well, I think things have moved a lot. So thank you very much, Shanil, for sharing the science, the what, why, when, where of nutrition and metabolic rate. Appreciated. If we see Sunil Kanodia's screen name, and you would note it says Vaidya now. Vaidya, as we all know what Ved is. So Sunil, over to you. Anil has shared with us the full science book. Please do share with us, what do I do about myself in terms of what do I take away, how do I customize, since each body is different. So over to you, Sunil. I hope you will take 15-20 minutes.
Thank you, Anil and Jayant and Sundar, and for everybody to participate, because it is collective consciousness, and collective consciousness is who we are. And I had some plans to share, but listening to Anil's presentation, I have discarded the whole topic which I had prepared. because it is important to connect allopathy to Ayurveda, allopathy, modern medicine to the ancient medicine. It's very important to connect the two dots. They are not replacement of each other. They supplement each other. And I have studied both allopathy and ancient medicine. So I have changed the whole topic. I want to stay focused what Anil is trying to drive the point, because me and Anil, we are 100% in sync with each other. We know exactly what both of us talk about. So there's no difference there. That's the first starting point. However, we have to unlearn before we can learn anything new. That is very simple statement to make. But and you go to any Buddha or yogi or they say, hey, empty your ball before you can put something new inside, right? So I will focus on those dimensions just to reinforce Anil's point. So unlearning, I'll give you points to learn new vocabulary, and I'll try to do dissimilarity, because he talked about similarity. I will take the same stance from a different point of view, but they mean the same thing. So for example, in medical research methodology, the gold standard often referred to randomized control trial, RCTs. Anything happen in Western medicine, what Anil has talked about, is a result of randomized control trials, RCTs, where you study a large number of people with the cause and effect as well as with placebo, and you say, okay, based on that, if you do this kind of thing, this is the outcome. That is what Anil was presenting, that data, which was all RCT. They are considered the most rigorous and reliable way to evaluate the effectiveness of medical interventions, whether they are treatment or they are drugs or therapies, etc., etc. Okay, and for masses, population treatment is planned by individual. So the whole International Code of Disease, common procedural terminologies in the West, or DPC-DRG in Europe, they all come from allopathy's disease management, where you're managing a disease. Very important to know this dimension. So we treat symptoms of the disease using ICD and CPD code or DPC-DRG in Europe as per the RCTs and try to kill the disease. But in the process, person dies. That's the line I'm adding. You go do the chemotherapy for those cells which are growing. Every person has a cancer cells. But in the process, chemotherapy, all the treatment, surgery and all, you kill the disease. But in the process, person's immune system dies, person dies. That's a Western way, advantage and disadvantage. And I'm not saying that one is a replacement or other. Both needs to be going together hands in hand. However, in Ayurveda, we focus on individual. What is individual? Prakriti. Prakriti means Vata, Pitta, Kapha, which is a dominant element, which is a second and third at the time of conception. And that doesn't change. And based on that, Prakriti, we get certain color of eyes, skin color, hair, based on our genes, time of the day, nakshatra, all those elements are important there. Then Vikriti. What is Vikriti? Vikriti means if this is my constitution, I am Vata 3, Pitta 2, Kapha 1, over a period of time during the mothers in the womb as well as outside the womb, every season, every reason, every epigenetics impacts my Vikriti. Means I go away to adopt myself. And why do I adopt? I am a CEO of 16 trillion cells, or whatever number you put it, 20 trillion cells. And each cell is a intelligent, independently living creature of its type. It knows how to produce, reproduce, die, discard, digest, and all the cell's intelligence is lying in the membrane, not in the nucleus. Nucleus is the memory, intelligence is the membrane. If you want to know that, Biology of Belief, Bruce Lipton, you can read. So each individual cell knows what to do. Defend itself, produce itself, discard, make protein what is needed for intracellular or inside the cell from 20 amino acid using the mRNA, what Anil talked about and all. That intelligence is there. Whatever is needed, they create, and only energy source used in the cell is ATP, adenosine triphosphate. As Anil was talking about, the three things are interchangeable. They are interchangeable at the level of ATP, which is the energy of the cell. And who are we? Who am I? I have to become a little philosophical here. I am that Jiva created by Ishvara in the Jagat. All of us, I have given that book reference, 152 page A5 size. You should read it, Tattva Bodha. VLN Bhatt is leading the other group in that. Some of us are there. So as a soul, we control through the belief system this 16 or 20 trillion cells. And then there is a system of 5 bodies, Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha. They have a role to define. Then there is energy pathways. There's a 7 dhatu, 7 tissue types are there. Rasa minimum. What is rasa? I will come back to that 5 tissues. So unlearning is needed. So in Ayurveda, the disease management at the time of conception is your prakriti, which doesn't change your lifetime. Vikriti is as we adopt ourselves over a period of time. Different country, different food, different environment, different epigenetics change us. And it takes 4 generations to change our genetics. Then there is a ama. Ama means if you have a car, automobile or human body, it needs to release and consume. If that input-output process typically for the engineer is balanced, there is no ama, there is no toxin. Ama does not mean in our body heavy metal, of course, that is also toxin. Heavy metal, mercury, whatever we get from the fishes and all. In Ayurveda, most important ama is undigested food. And I'm going to spend time on that because that connects with dots with other. Undigested food is ama. Because the food which is not properly digested through our digestive system, respiratory systems, or whatever systems we have in our body, it is circulating through, when the food comes, it gets absorbed 70% through jejunum, which is the internal part of the large intestine. And what is large intestine? It is trying to expand by length as well as making undulated layers so that maximum surface area is available for it to absorb food through hepatic portal. From there it goes to the liver. Anil talked about what liver does. Liver is the biggest organ and most important organ in our body. We cannot live without liver. We can live without our brain and heart, right? And it is a pharmacopoeia of the body. It is all chemistry, all the electro and chemical things. Action happens over there, pituitary and all work with the liver, right? And from there through the vena cava, it goes to the heart. From there it goes to the lungs that get oxygen rich, nutrient rich and oxygen rich. It goes to all the cell and all the cells say, hey, I do not know what this is coming. I do not know what this is coming because this is undigested food. That is where I will talk about metabolic things as Anil was talking about. Key. I will stick to that Anil's presentation. So when the things are circulating in the body, lymphatic system is saying, what is this? Let's hold it, adipose system, what to do? Let's store it. So what happens is body takes out the system which is not being consumed by the cells because it is not consumable. It is not fully digested food. You chew it, food, it will get digested better. If you just keep pumping the food in our mouth, you take a bite, chew it 20 times, mastication, first process. And that is how whole system works. But I'm just giving you one example. So your ama is nothing but undigested food which cannot be used by the cells because it is not properly digested. And that gets added up in our body. And that is what create many problems which all of us are facing in this place. And I will talk about digestibility. Give you an analogy of ama. You have a BMW or Mercedes and all. You put premium oil in that car. And one day you put it, the regular gas. Now in the process, their electronics ignition systems and carburetor systems get blocked, get choked. You take your fridge, clean it up every month. You take your car, every 3 months you service it. What do we do with our body? How do we remove that toxins and ama which is accumulated in our body? Another dimension. Agni, metabolic things. There are 20 types of Agni as per Ayurveda. And I'll give you examples. It will connect with you. They are scientifically, because when you think over it, it will make sense to you. There are 5 elements in our body and there is an Agni for all the 5 elements. This is space, this is air, this is fire, this is water, and this is earth. And when we make mudras, You put fire under any of this element, that element will go up in the body. If you put fire under air, air element will go up. If you put it under space, space element will go up. If you put it under earth, earth element will go up. If you put under fire, fire element will go up. Last is fire. If you want to reduce this 5 element, you put air under fire, air element will go down, space element will go down, earth element will go down, and water element will go down. And if your palms are raised up in that mudra, that elements are accelerated. When you put the palms down in the mudra, it deaccelerates. Now you go and see Jesus Christ, Lord Krishna, which mudra they are standing, and you know what elements in the universe they are trying to balance. No, I have not talked about the elements. I will come back. Costa. Costa means what is my discard system? Discard system is like your car exhaust system is not good. No matter what car you are using, it'll get low in performance. And Costa, there are 3 kinds of ama in the systems in a human body. Mostly it is feces is one. That's why doctors like me, they spend a lot of time looking, smelling, talking about feces. The second is urination, which talks about all the things Anil talked about in terms of digesting or not digesting, what is the color, what is the smell of the urine and all. And the third one is sweat, because our first line of defense is our skin. If in the skin there is a sebaceous gland which release oil which protects the body. I don't use soap, shampoo and conditioner to kill those cells to stop doing their function, and my skin is never dry. I don't need a cream. Like that is how naturally you increase the quality of rasa dhatu, the first dhatu, 7 dhatus. So when we eat the food, there are 6 compartments in our body and each has an element. I can talk about it some other day. That was part of my presentation. And then you absorb through hepatic portal and it goes through all and it becomes a rasa dhatu in 5 days. Rasa dhatu nourishes plasma and all your skin, first line of defense and many other things. Rasa dhatu, plasma. Second, it takes another 5 days for food to become rakta. Rakta means blood. Plus minus 2 days. I'm just giving a Ayurvedic numbers. Third dhatu, which builds up on the top of that, is mamsa dhatu. That is why all the muscles building programs are multiple of 15 days on planet Earth. They are not random. They come from Ayurveda. Then another dhatu, fourth dhatu is mamsa dhatu, because as Anil said, like whatever you cannot consume, you store in your body. It takes another 5 days, so 20 days. So that is why every weight reduction program on planet Earth is a multiple of 20 days. The fifth dhatu is asthi, bone. That is why you cut the plaster casting after the bone injury after 25 days. And then another 5 days it takes to build majja dhatu. Majja dhatu is your nervous, bone marrow, neurons and all, right? 30 days. And after that, it is a specialized function for male and female. 5 days it takes to become semen or other, we call it shukra dhatu, or for female, it is called arthva dhatu, because female's body is 20 times more complex than male's body, because they are supposed to create a life. So that is another different concept. So 35 days. So anything I do less than 35 days on a regular basis, it will not yield result. Now let's talk about this 20 metabolic activity. So 7 dhatus have 7 metabolic, and their metabolic fire is defined into different ways. Sama Agni is, which is a balanced fire. Manda Agni is low. Tikshna Agni is high. If any 20 Agni is Manda or Tikshna, they will either burn whatever supposed to do, or they will not be able to do their job. If they don't do their job, they will add more ama to our system. And if they burn it, then they create deficit of that in our body. That is what scientifically has not been proven in many areas, which Anil was talking about. But in Ayurveda, it is documented, right? So if you take a food and you have a sama rasa agni, that food will get converted into plasma, which will nourish your body. For example, when you typically eat a fruit diet versus other diet, they have a less waste. You will generate less ama if you have a sama agni, and this is the lowest agni. The next is a rakta agni, which will convert plasma to the blood, and then so on, mamsa agni, meda agni, etc. Then there are the 5 elements agni. I told you the example through mudra. So 5 plus 7 is 12 agnis. right? Then there is Jatru Agni, which is a stomach Agni, hydrochloric acid. There are a lot of complex things. I can spend 5 hours session just to talk about the stomach, and I can talk in the Ayurvedic term as well as in anatomical terms, right? Like that. And there are senses. There are 5 senses through which Jiva looks from outside. You know, 5 senses are space element is hearing. It is not just hearing, it is also orienting us in the space, because both our eardrum also has a gyroscope which orient us in the space, left, right. If the electricity goes, we know 40° down, 20° back, there is a candle or a torch lying there. So orientation in the space through the sensory organ of hearing. Second element is the air element. So all the skin has those receptors. So all electricity, Wi-Fi, every movement activity in our body is air element, anything which moves. Skin, touch is a sensory organ. Third is fire, our eyes, sight, light, form, shape, metabolic activities, power of discrimination, power of thought, digesting thoughts, food, emotions, intelligence, everything is metabolic activity of fire, 20 type, right? And the fourth one is water. Water is basically our taste. You cannot taste anything if you dry your tongue. And say taste, another subject which is important, I'm going to touch, this is important with digestibility. All the herbs have been classified by Bhava Prakasha 2000 years ago. He collected document from all the scripture, Charak, Shushru, Vagbhat, and every pharmacist in the world will have those 2 volumes lying in their shelf, because they classify every food or mineral into these 4 categories. What is the taste? 6 tastes are there. Whether it is heating or cooling after it goes into our digestive system, whether it is which organ or system it is good or bad, they documented. And the fourth one is undefined spatial effect. They call it rasa, they call it taste, and I forgot the name, sorry. So these are the 4 ways they classify every food and mineral on planet Earth. It's documented, which took care of from all the system. And our digestive system, which is a 6-part, mastication, sweet. The sweet part has earth and water element dominated. Then there's a sour in the stomach, which has a fire element comes in first time and earth element. Then duodenum cannot handle this acidic food. It has to be alkalized. So salt, what is the property? Salt has a fire and water element. That's why water attracts in the salt in the rainy season. And the third is jejunum, which is the longest part where we absorb the food. There's a fire and air element. You know, all the chilies are fire, right? And then next one is ileum up to ileocecal wall is space element. You know, when you have no coffee, you feel spacey. You need to satisfy that organ's taste, which has air and space element. And then the colon, where you reabsorb all the water which you have taken from saliva and all the epithelium cell which glide the food. You reabsorb water in the colon. And that is the only organ where you absorb minerals. And minerals absorption has a very complex system. I can explain in another session in terms of potassium, calcium, all other things which you need for many other activities. For example, people don't understand, they take calcium for the bone health. But according to me, the most important function of calcium in our body is to activate the muscle bridge, right? So I will stop there. And then there's a treatment is basically when based on this 5 element of the person, which is we analyze during our diagnose. And these elements have gone away because of Vikriti and all the other reason. And in Ayurveda, what we do is this happened knowingly by the person. We call it prajna aprad. Anything happens to me in my body, I know what caused that body. Because my Viveka, if I sit in the meditation, will tell why I have high weight, because I am not supposed to do this. And prajna aprad means doing that crime knowingly. That is the reason. So in that process, what we do is we look into this habit which has become away from the person's nature and try to match or confine that so that these 5 elements are based from Vikriti to Prakriti. And that is why the customization happens. So I will just share slide very fast way because I don't want to spend time more than 30 seconds or maybe 1 minute on that, because if somebody has an interest, unless they seek from me, I cannot give them this. Okay. Can you see my screen? Somebody just say yes or no.
Yeah, Sunil, we can slide 19 or 49.
Yeah. So basically, sadhana chatushtaya is Viveka. I've already given these details to you guys on the WhatsApp message. And Viveka is a power of discrimination. You will not learn anything from Anil Ahuja today if your Viveka is not fully evolved. If your Viveka is fully evolved, you have unlearned and you're ready to learn. And this Viveka is part of the sadhana chatushtaya, the 4 qualification of the seeker. And this is the key. And I will just go through that, what happens. Vairagya is detachment, because now you are not looking at it as a doership of a jiva. You are doing it more as a Ishvara. Through jiva, things are happening in the Jagat. And Shat Sampati is the 6th wealth you generate by doing all that. And the Mumoksha is seek liberation, ultimate happiness. And I will just tell you that Sama, Dama, Uprati, Titiksha. Sama is like, all Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga is part of the Sama. Dhamma is like, there are 5 qualifications by which you can do that, different level of siddhis and all. Uprati is like my ability to go deeper in terms of Vairagya, different level of Vairagya. Titikshna means my ability to tolerate whatever is happening around me. And Shraddha means my devotions. And Samadhi, Sadhana means the whole solution. And this is basically, what are we doing by this? We are managing our mind. We are regulating our mind. If we have a control over our mind through this Shat Sampati, Viveka and Vairagya, then we can do the right things. As I said, like whole Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga is part of the Sama, and people don't even do Yama and Niyama, which means Yama means what I need to do 5 things to live with the society, and Niyama means what I need to do for myself. And in that, the most important element for me is Swaasthya. Swadhyaya means knowing myself. If I do not know myself, who I am, in different dimensions, rest of the journey is all BS. And then, okay, I will skip that. So Prakriti I talked about, it is a soul and different elements of Prakriti, which is life, right? And this life, when you look at it, Prakriti is defined. Life means Ayu means life, and Veda means knowledge. You guys all are aware of it, but use your Viveka development to understand more deeper into this, into your Swadhyaya. And then everybody knows that Vata means space and air element dominant, Pitta means fire, water element dominant, Kapha. And I can tell you one thing, if anybody has any doubt, anything they have in the universe, I can connect them to the 5 dot logically in their language. That much wisdom universe has bestowed upon me. So steal it away from me. Kapha works in the lungs and upper part of the body, Pitta works in the middle part of the maximum body, and Vata works in the thigh and girdle part of the body. So all the asana, food, herbs, etc. are scientifically classified to work in which part of the body. What are the diseases we get mostly, if I have to manage or connect them with the Western systems? What are the diseases are more connected to the space and air element? Majjadhatu, insomnia, arthritis, heavy, etc. Pitta diseases are more gastritis, migraines, etc. Kapha diseases are stress, obesity, etc. So that is why it has to customize based on certain elements and certain doshas. Perfect health, according to me, is, as Anil said, metabolic activity, 20 fire should be balanced properly. Excretory functions, our existing discrete functions, feces, urine, and sweats should be working, and all the 3 doshas are balanced as per our Prakriti Vikriti. This is the perfect definition of health. They call it Samadosha, Samagni, Samadhatu, Malakriya, Prasanna Atma Indriya, Mana, Swaasthya iti Abhite. This is the key definition of Swaasthya, the health, so that I enjoy this journey of life the best way possible. And of course, I am not going to go into those 5 elements, etc., but I'm going to talk about Anil. This slide, I made it when Anil was talking about. This is a cross section of intestine, where you have after duodenum, before ileum. There are microvilli. So the jejunum not only extend in the length to absorb nutrients in the body, they also undulate the surface to increase the surface area. And there are a lot of microvilli. When we eat things like that which get stuck inside, fafda, bhujia, when we don't clean our stomach properly, our system is only working, as you can see my mouse, only this way. We are only working 5 to 10% of our capacity. So rest of the food, whatever we are absorbing, is undigested food. And that cleaning is like carburetor cleaning. That is how you clean your ama, primary reason. Okay? Because we have blocked all our intestine. And I have already given the example. We do preventive maintenance for car, fridge, house and all, but we don't do any preventive maintenance for our body to detox. That is a crime we commit. So remember, I have not talked about anything about what you eat. I talked about it. Are you able to digest whatever you're eating? If you're not been able to digest food, you're not been able to digest then thoughts, you will not be able to digest your emotions, you will not be able to digest your sattvic things. We are dead. We are already dead. So that is why my scale of health was minus 100% is disease ridden, 0 is disease free. But our swasthya start from 0 to 100 plus, where we can do whatever. We can eat chola bhatura, we can eat whatever we want. We can climb Mount Everest if we are swasthya, if we detox properly. And I don't want to talk about all that. So my solution in the end to conclude is, what I do is looking into all those elements, allopathic and Ayurveda and yoga and meditation, I create a kind of dincharya for that person, for that season, for that reason they want to work on what aspect. If somebody wants to have a lot of sex, so I will work on Vajrikaran. If somebody say I want to reduce my weight, so I will work on metabolic activities, Jatru Agni, so that they can digest and generate less ama. I clean their intestine through Trifla and other things. There are many ways of doing that. So this is how I help people to work, make sure that they have a higher digestibility. And I have a couple of ways of doing that. I have been giving that things to people outside. If people have no money, don't worry about the money. I'm not here for the money anymore. I have been giving this help people, whoever, somebody give me $5, somebody give me $500, and I will do that. So please don't link into the money, take help from me. And it is written down in our message. And last thing I want to show you is a small document. This is what I've written in Dincharya. You start with Brahma Muhurta. When we align ourselves with the Jagat, when Jiva gets alignment with Jagat means we start getting up in Brahma Muhurta. And the last line I want to say, what Anil talked about is, when body needs to know what is expected, it can handle whatever shit we throw on it. But when body doesn't know what is happening, it starts behaving differently. So that is why in Brahma Muhurta getting up, Jiva get aligned with Jagat in the wisdom and Viveka of Ishvara and start doing basic things like don't have any cold food and cold drink because our body is warm. Only thing I miss is ice cream. Other than that, I'm perfectly improving my metabolism. I will do toothbrush which is not chemical putting in my mouth. I will take a warm water, and warm water is always with me. And then I do certain breathing exercises so that I can start cleaning up my internal systems, engaging other diaphragm and other systems. And that link I also have shared in WhatsApp. And then I will start my day. And do not eat more than 3 meals a day. Preferably eat 2 meals a day, brunch and early dinner, or have heavy dinner. Not dinner should always be light. Apologies. Should have a heavy lunch and light dinner, and maybe fruit as a breakfast or something. But whatever you eat, if you're all the samadosha, samagni, samadhatu, malakriya, you will be able to enjoy all the pleasures in life. And I want my friends, all of you, to enjoy all the pleasure in life without any restriction. I stop there.
Thank you, Sunil. Thank you very much. If you can take off your screen. I don't know how confidential it is, Sunil, but if you can put your presentation in the social group, several of us would refer to it and learn from it later. And also it will give us an opportunity for you to come back to you for any individual advice.
My request is don't do that.
Okay, fair enough.
I just talk to me. Tell me your challenges and I will customize for you.
Okay, Sunil.
Because this is 6,000 years of science which has all the 8 department of medicines. women's health, diuretics. So don't get confused. You get lost. I got lost for first year.
I think we have moved from the way Anil had shared the science and the nuts and bolts of nutrition and metabolism to where Sunil took us to a deeper meaning and a holistic perspective. I think both of them are important. I think the fundamental point over here is discipline. First is understanding what to do, and then the discipline of doing it. And I think discipline is where execution comes in. That's the science, that's the strategy. If I would request, if there are, I think, quite a few stalwarts here who have got their own hacks and do demonstrate solid discipline in how they live. They can be shy, they can do all the foreplay, but I would request Srini, Alok, Mark, Brijesh, and if you can just share what is your mantra, how are you able to keep yourself disciplined? If you will help open up and share, it'll help tie all of this in.
Jayant, I would like to focus on Srini because in my life, he was the first guy who showed me the torch of being healthy by cutting his diet in Seattle when I met him some 20 years ago.
Thanks,
And
Sunil.
Alok is another example.
Hanji, please come in, gentlemen. Srini, both R Srini, M Srini. मैं अपना नाम ही चेंज कर लेता हूँ. I think वही रह गया ये जो पंजाबी रह के होता नहीं कुछ. So please come in, R Srini, M Srini.
आपको तो याद होगा. Good morning, friends. It's about 7 a.m. and on the West Coast here. So glad to see so much interest in something that's so valuable for us and our families. So Srini and I, whenever we talk about the Srini tea we had with 3 professors, 6 Srinis from the batch after us, and 3 in our batch. So we did that before we left the campus. So then the Venki said, no, there are more of us. I said, well, you missed the boat. We got there first. So I just sent a private message to Anil and he responded also saying, hey, Srini, talk about it. I've had a 1-year experience with using a CGM. The CGM is a patch I wear and change every 10 days. It gives me a sense of what my blood sugar is doing over the course of the day. And like Kanojia mentioned, he was at my house and my family's had a history of diabetes and blood sugar. And I said, what can I do proactively? I started following what was referred to as the Mediterranean diet, which is really eat healthy, eat less carbs, and we switched to almost 80% organic food, etc. And I think all of that is important because really you're investing in yourself and you're investing in the right things of being motivated. But diet alone is not enough. Diet plus exercise is the magic. Now, about a year ago, or a year and a half ago, my sugar started spiking a bit. And I said, I need to know more about it. And then we all live in a data-driven world. So we said, what can give me more information? You get a blood test done every 60, 90 days for the A1C. You can prick your finger and know what the blood sugar is when you get up. But really, the CGM tells you, and I think that the learning there is, how do you manage to tune when you eat and what you eat? So the hack really, and I talked to Lil and Malika also about it because Lil also tried it for a few months, I believe. It's really looking at what happens when you eat certain foods and how does your body react, because it's a very individual way that your body deals with whatever you consume. So making sure that you track, like I think Anil may have mentioned that, for a month or 2, track what happens when you eat, an omelette in the morning, or what happens when you eat, parathas, or whatever you like. You can continue to eat whatever you want, but see at which threshold your spike goes above 40, 50 points, because you start at some point. So what I did was, not only I had the CGM, the app on my phone, but I also took an index card. And I'd write on the index card, what is my blood sugar value when I start my meal? And I note down the time. 2 hours later, I look at what the spike is after after 2 hours. So that tells you that what's good for you, what's right for you, what you like to use, and how it impacts you. So then you tune it. So it's really, the more you know, the better decisions you make, and then you stay away from the cycle of getting into medication and so on. And I can't repeat enough, the running club we had was a good way to motivate people to start doing things. But every single day, you either walk or you run. I've seen Alok in many meetings where for the whole meeting he's walking up and down in his home office or wherever he's working, because being active and doing meetings with colleagues while walking. And when I was at Google, I'd get my headphones on and walk in my neighborhood, and I'd do at least 1 or 2 meetings a day while walking, and my own exercise was running every day. So it's really not one magic hack or bullet, but if you use a combination of eating well, eating at the right time, knowing how you're reacting to that, I think that we have healthy, productive, loving time with our families in the decades to come. So that was my experience. Happy to take any questions or give others the floor. Yeah.
Thank you, M. Srini. Thank you. R. Srini, Alok, Mark.
I'll go for it, Jayant. But
Hi.
honestly, there is not so much that I can share. I just try to be as active as I can in a day. On a good day, if I get 25,000 steps, it makes me feel like, I've been nicely active. I use my Aura ring to tell me how things are going, what my metrics are. And I've seen a very direct correlation between if I manage to be in bed for 7 to 8 hours, then a lot of my metrics next morning seem a lot better. The metrics I try to monitor are my resting heart rate and my HRV. And I see a direct correlation with the quality of sleep, and secondly, with the consumption of alcohol. So days of the week when I don't drink, I find my HRV is higher, my resting heart rate is lower, and it keeps to be a good reminder that what you need to do. Outside of that, I honestly don't do very much that some of the other stalwarts do. I can see that Mark has now shown up on the camera, so let's hear his story.
No, absolutely. Alok, talk to us about the ring which you wear. What does it help you monitor?
So this is the Aura ring I wear, OURA, and it manages, it gives you in the morning all your metrics, and I will show you the screen of what this looks like. So this shows in the morning your readiness, your sleep, your activity levels, your heart rate, and your stress. And, kind of helps you, and you can track it over weeks, months, years. So when I go for my annual checkup with my doctor, she will normally tell me, "Hello, give me your phone. Let me look at, how much of a bad boy, good boy you've been," because it's not just the last 15 days when I went for the class, for my checkup, that I try to improve my scores. She'll just glance through the whole year and say, "Okay, so clearly, Alok, you need to do this better." So it just helps me very much, Jayant.
No, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Alok. Listen, guys, there are a lot of stalwarts here. I'm just taking 2-3 names. So please excuse me if I'm missing out some. But Chet, Mark, please come in.
Yeah. So quickly,
Sorry, Mark.
don't have too much to add more than what I have been mentioning for the last 1 year in a couple of forums. So I think regular exercise, almost 3 times a day, is something I look forward to.
Three times a
Mo-
day.
3 times a day, morning, first thing in the morning at about 6:30 or something like that, and then definitely after the brunch, and one around 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and sometimes even post dinner. So basically being out of the house on a regular basis, meeting people, walking, either walking or cycling, or so that's one activity that has been helping me. Second activity is I'm still trying to get better at it in terms of sleep. In terms of the time at which you start sleeping. So far, the goal has been hit the bed by 9:30 or 10. I kind of end up delaying it by half an hour or so, but so that's something I need to work on. So good quality sleep and waking up without the help of an alarm. So let your body take as much rest as is required. If you wake up at 6 o'clock, it's okay. If you wake up at 7 o'clock, it's okay. So whatever the body takes. Those are two things. And general idea in terms of consumption of food. If there is a way I could try and reduce the food consumption by 10%. So it goes back to Anil's point of doing something on a consistent basis, which you can carry on for the rest of your life. There is no point trying to fast and cut down your food consumption by 30-40% for a week or two, and then going back to eating normal food. So my point is, can you do 10% cut on a daily basis and keep it for the long haul? I think those are the things. So you started off by saying what makes you very disciplined. I wanted to start the answer by saying Sudha, but anyway, she ran away.
No, thank you. So maybe she's doing her post-dinner kind of exercise. That's why she ran. But
Actually, both of us, will go for a walk now.
wisdom as always. Thank you very much.
A wonderful program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Thank you,
think all of
Sunil, and
you
thank
did.
you, Anil, and thank you, Jayant. Yep.
Thank you for making it. Chet, Arshrini, anybody else? Ramki, we have. Please
Hey,
do
Jayant,
share.
This is Sanjeev here, SK. Just one small comment. You know, Devina had posted a very nice link, Instagram link of Rohan Sehgal, who has tried different types of Indian food and its impact on the blood sugar levels. I saw most of them, and this is really very good. I really recommend it.
Can you,
How
Sanjeev,
upma, idli is worse than aloo paratha
Sanjeev,
and all that.
Anil here. Please do not watch those videos. They are bullshit.
Oh, okay.
I can send you other people. I can send you other people who are trying exactly the same thing and have opposite results. This is pure clickbait. Everybody likes to watch them, so it's a great thing to do.
chalo,
Oh,
that
The
okay,
takes
only
okay,
care
way,
of.
fine.
if you really
And
want to know
anything,
what to wait.
anything which says upma and idli are bad is absolutely trash.
wait. I'm going to just build on what M. Srini had shown you. I will just show you something. I had it up, but I didn't share it earlier. I'm going to try and share it now on the screen. If you really want to know what spikes your blood sugar and what doesn't, can you see my screen?
Yeah,
What can you see?
we see a Excel which says negligible, low, medium, high.
So this is 2 hour impact of this is the peak increase in blood sugar. 0 to 1 it's a different unit. So you have to multiply it by 18 if you want to get the regular units. But this is what happens. So if you want to do this, go buy a CGM, stick it in your arm, and test your idli for yourself. Because every human being,
I noted the whiskey there.
whiskey has no impact. It's all fructose. It goes to the liver, becomes fat.
Anil, please share this also here.
I can't share this, boss. This is for me. You will get completely screwed if you implement this.
No, okay, so it can be a starting point for me.
No. It's not a starting point. It's a terrible point because if I tell you that dal and 3 katoris of rice is completely horrible, you will die. I'm telling you, yellow dal is not good for me. So
It is for him. It is his body type, Srini.
it is my, and there is a whole gut microbiome which is generating what are called short chain fatty acids. There's a whole bullshit thing which we've touched upon 3% of what we deal with.
Thanks,
So
Sunil. Appreciate it.
It's a Prakriti
my
Vikriti
only
based thing.
suggestion is,
Okay, guys,
please
thank
do
you.
not watch videos because
Understood.
they are.
Point noted. Point noted. Point noted. But listen, I would also say if anything gives you inspiration to eat less, to exercise more, please do it. There are very few people who die because of lack of food. There are more people who die because of very excess food. So I think we should put a stop. We should end this session now. Enough inputs have been received. We'll share the recording. Thank you very much. I know the timing was not right for several of you, but thank you for coming together. I think one thing which I'm going to do is to sell the stocks of all the life insurance companies in my portfolio now that all of us are wiser. Thank you. Have a great day, Makar Sankranti 222. And I saw Anil Sharma somewhere. Is he
Yeah.
still-
Yeah, he was there.
And let's wish him. I think it is his birthday tomorrow. So while we have him, let's
Ah,
keep it while he is there.
happy birthday, Anil.
birthday.
Happy birthday, Sharma
Happy
ji.
birthday, Anil.
You're on mute. So अगर birthday नहीं है तो मेरी ऐसी तैसी मत कर देना यार.
No,
First, happy
no,
birthday उसके लिए यार.
today is not my birthday.
Tomorrow.
Oh, no, it was in last month, 17th December.
You have already wished him so many times.
Bye.
You already wished him.
That's how I put my foot in my mouth. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I am
guys.
already old. I am already old, and you are making me 1 month older.
Chalo. Jai Mata ki. Bye bye.
Jai Mata Di.
All the
Thank
best.
you. Wonderful
guys.
session, each of you.
Bye.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
What is this?